Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander viewers are advised that the following program contains images and voices of people who have died.
Hi, my name is Violet Sheridan. I was born at Cowra District Hospital back in 1955 to Cecilia Merritt. It was about 15-year-old when she had me. And my dad, Arthur Williams, was about 18-year-old. I never met Dad because he was accidentally killed working on the railway at Blaney. He was run over by a train. I suppose I could call myself one of the lucky ones. I was actually taken straight from the hospital by my Auntie May, who was my grandfather's brother, George Merritt, and Uncle Frank Broughton. I was taken back to Yass and raised by them as one of their own. In one of the houses up, they actually called, which they called Yass Mission, but I don't know why they called it a mission because there was only about 4 houses there up in Grampian Street. One of the old fibre houses. Really happy I've had good parents who looked after me well. I'm a descendant of the Ngunnawal people. My people are the Merritts, the Carrolls, the Lanes, the Lows, who actually who come from in the area, the Canberra region, Yass, Blakeney Creek, Queanbeyan, Murrum Bateman. My great-great-great-grandmother and great-great-grandfather, they called Queen Caroline Chisholm Lane, and his name was King Albert. They actually built a mud hut out in Blakeney Creek, which a lot of Aboriginal people lived out there. I think Nan actually brought 9 children up in that little mud hut, and I have no idea how they lived there because it was so tiny. This is my great-great-great-grandmother's place, and which they called her Queen Caroline Chisholm Lane, and my great-great-great-grandfather King Albert Lane. They brought up 9 children here. My great-great-grandmother, Amelia, Millie they called her, Amelia Millie Lane, and she was one of 9 children. Actually, I have no idea how they all lived in this tiny little mud hut. They got me fascinated, but this place is absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It's a treasure. I have no idea how they brought the 9 children up here. Grandparents lived in this house, and as you can see, it's made out of mud. It's a mud hut. They brought 9 children up in here. So that's 11 people plus extended family stayed here. So, yeah, well, we all know that. Look how small it is. Must have been a tight fitting. So maybe if we, and short, look how the roofs must have been low, how low the roofs are. And this little stove that they have here, that they cooked in, this must have been their little kitchen. So there would have been 3 generations of family that would have been brought up in this house. It must have been, and not only that, but probably an extended family, so such a big lot of people in such a small house. And they must have done the cooking on this old stove. It's still a wood stove, so how small is this little kitchen? You can imagine how many people would have been in here to feed it, but like all Aboriginal families, it wasn't just it was what we made it. It was a little house with a family, with the extended family, but it probably was a happy house. So I could just imagine them living here. It was my great-grandfather, it was Ned Jr., and then they had a family, and Amelia, who was Caroline's daughter, was my great-grandmother, married my great-grandfather, who was Stanley Carroll. Well, then they started a family of actually around 9 children as well, and they actually lived out here for a fair while as well. He was down in this, probably round in this little hut. And my grandmother was named, who I'm actually named after, Violet Carroll. That's who I'm named after, Violet. So, and she had, I can't name them all, I think Uncle Victor, Auntie Noeline, Auntie Dulcie. They've had a big family that lived in this area as well, and they actually, Uncle Brucey has told me a couple of the stories, but when you're young, you don't understand the history that really these old people that tell you don't want to hear the history. But now I'm like a sponge soaking up water. I want to know more and more and more, because knowledge you can't get enough of that I can pass on to my grandchildren.
I'm actually the 6th generation. That there is, there's actually 8 or 9 generations of us still living in the area. I went to the local Catholic school, which was the Mount Carmel. My children, when they were growing up, called it the Conniewacker School. Jason, Richie and Shane and them called it the Conniewacker School. I was baptised in the local Catholic church, and I did my first Holy Communion in the local Catholic church, and I did my confirmation in the local Catholic church at Yass. I think, well, my mother was a strict Catholic. I'm a believer in that all my kids are all baptised, and my grandchildren in the Catholic church. I think it was how I was brought up by my parents. Me and my mates, my friends, growing up then, from Yass, Yvonne, Kathy, Carl, Adi, we used to all go and to this great big bloody gate to go ask the nuns for some food. They used to take it. We used to go once a week, sometimes twice a week, and we'd take it in turns. Whose turn was to go to the door, to go through the gate, go to the door, and who was going to ask for it. And the nuns used to give us in tins, the great big silver tins, used to give us food. And when you think it, maybe that was the leftovers, and we'd all cruise down the park along the river there and sit down and have a picnic. I hated when it was my turn because it was embarrassing. I tell you, it was shameful. But we were hungry, we had to feed ourselves. So that was the way to get some food, because our parents were poor, and back them days you didn't get a lot of money. We were grateful for what we got. So you had to get food somewhere. Like I said, my father went to the slaughter yards, and for whatever animal, the tribe, little guts out of the sheep, and that nothing went to waste. We always ate it. And one of my favourite food was, you used to dip the bread into fat and put a bit of salt and pepper on it, because that's just life. That's back then. So what we got, we were grateful for. Going back across and you think about the things that you did over the times you've grown up. One of my favourite foods back then was, I think about it now, my tummy churns, sunshine milk and sugar. I actually loved sunshine milk and sugar. I used to mix it up as a paste, and it was a supplement for me for one of the sweets, because we were poor at the time. We couldn't afford lollies, so I could say that was one of me lollies. That was my sweet treat. Actually been looking for a fair while for my grandmother's grave, Queen Caroline, and I've been told that she was buried out at Rye Park Cemetery. A couple of times we've gone out there and tried to find it, and I couldn't find it, but I was actually with Marissa, her and I went out that way doing a bit of stuff, and we asked someone, a young bloke, and he said, yes, there's another cemetery just up beyond the church. No wonder we couldn't find it. This is fantastic. At last we found her grave. I was searching for it before and I couldn't find it. I thought it was in the Rye Cemetery up the other side. Unknowns to me,
this cemetery behind the old church, and I found her. Glenda and I come out looking for her before and we couldn't find her. We went to the other cemetery unknown to us. This cemetery had been here. And here she is, my great-great-great-grandmother, Queen Cowra. Makes me sad. It does really make you sad because this was where they must all call the Aborigines buried. It's sad. So sad. Very sad, isn't it? One poor Aboriginal, one poor grave. It's got Aboriginal on it. I'm so happy I found my great-great-grandmother. My cousin came out looking for her before Glenda. We couldn't find her. Well, it was the other eye cemetery. That's my history. That's history there. Now I know where she is. I'll come out. There's flowers there. So I was actually over-excited about finding her grave, and but it's something that now I can pass on to my grandchildren. When I was about 16, I met a young bloke, not too bad looking, and his name was Richie Allen. He actually, after a couple of weeks, he actually asked me to go and meet his mother up at Wahollo Karuna, and I said to him, "Where is Wahollo Karuna?" And he said, "About 1.5 hours away." And I thought, okay, then I'll go and meet your mother. That was the longest 1.5 hours I've ever travelled. So we went out to Wahollo, was a little Aboriginal reserve about 90 k's out of Tamworth, I think it is. We actually lived on an Aboriginal reserve which still had their own little school which my children attended. I actually stayed there, and I actually ended up marrying Richie. We had 4 beautiful children, which is Jason is my eldest, Richie Jr, and Shane, and my daughter Ladine. And I've got 18 grandchildren whom I love to death. 2 of them have passed on, but they've passed on, but I still count them in, and they're still in my heart. Was my husband. He was playing football. He actually passed on at 33. He was playing football on the football field. Myself and my children was there watching the football game. He actually took a massive heart attack and passed away later in hospital, which was very sad. Later on, my mother remarried to Dennis Charles. He was a man from down at Griffith Way, down the 3-way down that way, and she had another child, my younger sister Mary Atkinson. Mary married a bloke from down at Barmer, Bevan. She's had 4 children, and she's a granny too. I've met my second husband, Steve, in Tamworth. We've been married for many years now, and I'm happy. I represent my family United Ngunnawal Elders Council, and I'm a Mad Die South Sydney supporter. I've got 3 grandsons that go for South Sydney. I'm a member of South Sydney. My husband's a member of South Sydney, and my puppy dog Precious. This is my puppy dog Precious. She's a pet member. But it's something that now I can pass on to my grandchildren and tell them a little bit of stories, because I'm so excited, because my knowledge older, which was my Uncle Brucey Merritt, who actually passed away last year, I've taken that time to sit down and listen to what he's told me. So I'm hoping to pass this knowledge, what he's told me, onto my grandchildren and keep them storylines going.